Hey everybody, Kevin P. McAuliffe here from ProEditingAtHome.com, and I'm back again with another brand new Digital Juice Partner product. This time again we're going back to Boris Effects for another continuum unit, but this time we're going to take a look at the motion tracker unit. Now as you can see in front of you, I have an animation that might be familiar to a lot of you. This is where you'll have someone go out and they'll put a green sort of background up on something and little track points because they want you to track something, and it never really works right because the tracker in After Effects, well, is really not that great. I mean, I know they have Mocha, but guess what? That's still an external program. You need something that's going to help you do a track and do it right every time. And you can see how awesome this track looks. And I'm going to show you how you can do it quickly and simply using the motion tracker unit from Boris Effects. Okay, so I'm just going to quit out of QuickTime. Now before I start, I do want to mention that if you want to check out the system requirements for Boris Continuum Unit's Motion Tracker for any other Digital Juice Partner product, you can simply navigate to the DJ section of Digital Juice's website, come into one of the partner products, and if you scroll down, you'll see a little button that says Partner Products, and if you click on it, it'll take you to the Partner Products section of the Digital Juice website. Once there, simply choose the partner product you want to know about, and you can scroll all the way down to the bottom to see the system requirements. If you checked out my tutorial on the motion key Boris Continuum unit and your system meets those system requirements, then your system will run this effect as well. Okay, so I'm just going to quit out of Firefox. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Command Tab into After Effects. This is for both Mac and for Windows. So I'm going to Control Tab over to After Effects. And you can see that I have two elements in After Effects. I have my background street scene that someone has gone in and put up this little green wall on the bus shelter with some little track points for me. And you can see I'll just track it down here. And you can see the camera's pretty shaky, but that's okay. We're going to take care of this, no problem. And I also have a sign element here. And there it is there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, first of all, we'll just close our sign footage, is I'm going to create a new composition. It's 1280 by 720, which is good. 10 seconds is fine. We'll say okay. And I'm going to take my Street for Tutorial small dots and bring it down and drop it onto my timeline. So we're all set to go. So now we're ready to apply the motion tracker effect. So what I'm going to do is with my clip selected, I'm going to come up to Effect. I'm going to come down to Distortion Perspectives, and I'm going to select Corner Pin. Now one thing I do want to point out is that I have installed all of Boris Continuum Complete 6. If you decide to pick up the motion tracker unit, you're going to have access to the 4 motion tracker effects that come with the unit. And they are Corner Pin, Match Move, Wire Remover, and Witness Protection. Now like I said, in this tutorial I'm going to show you Corner Pin, but the concept of what I'm going to show you not only works the same in whatever application you decide to use it in. Boris Continuum Motion Tracker units is supported in Adobe's After Effects, it's supported in FX Plug, so both Final Cut Pro and Motion, and it's supported for Avid AVX, which means Media Composer, News Cutter, Symphony, and DS users will be able to use it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the corner pin effect, and you'll notice that right away, as soon as I apply it, my main window has changed. What is actually happening here is because I haven't told it what the corner pin source is, it's just using my entire image in its place. So we obviously have a source, so I'm just going to take my sign and I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to drop it in. Now we don't actually need the sign to be on, so I'm just going to turn it off. The cool thing with this effect is that everything is done from within the effects interface. So with the sign turned off, I can come back to my Street for Tutorial, small dots, come back to the effects control, and I can switch the corner pin source now to sign, and it will automatically appear there. Now don't worry at the fact that it's distorted because that's all going to fix itself in just a second. Okay, the first thing that we're going to need to do is a track. So let's come down to our motion tracker section and we'll click on the drop down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on track on the fly, and you're going to see why. As soon as I turn on track on the fly, you'll see that my sign disappears and now I'm left with my tracking target markers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to press Command plus on the Mac, Control plus on Windows to zoom in, and we're just going to set our track points to be right in the dead center of these little circles. And I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit. Let's try that again here. I'm just going to shrink this down as small as I can get it. Bring it up here. And we're going to do this the same for all 4 points. Now, once we're done, this one's not too far off. Once we're done, there's 2 other things that we're going to want to change. And that's still, again, inside the motion tracker dropdown. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the input channel from luminance to red, because obviously the dots are red, so that's what we want to track. And I'm going to change the subpixel accuracy to be 1/8. And I'm going to zoom back here. Now, To do our track, all we simply have to do is press the space bar. And once we do, you'll see the little targets are now moving. The ones that are still represent where they started, and you can see the other ones moving representing where they are right now. And you'll see at the bottom of your window, you'll see this green bar moving, and that shows you the progress of the tracker. Now, one thing that's important to keep in mind is don't think of this as a preview, because yes, it is previewing it for us, and you can see that it's doing that in the timeline, but it's going to get to the point where it can't preview anymore, but it's really irrelevant. This bar is what's the most important. You see here now that the preview can only go so far, but my green bar is still going. So once it gets to the end, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop it. Okay, right about there. Now you can see the green bar stretches all the way along. So what I'm ready to do now is I'm ready to come back over and turn off track on the fly, and you'll now see that my sign is in there, and that's looking not too bad, obviously, except for the fact that I don't want a big green border around it, because that just looks wrong. Obviously there's the green border, because if I zoom in, you'll see that that's where my red dots are, and you'll see that the track looks pretty dead on right in the center of that dot. Okay, so let's come back because we need to fix this. And again, this is another very easy fix that you can do from within inside the effects interface. I'm going to come back up and I'm going to come over here, and the first thing I'm going to adjust is the edge width, and I'm going to put that at 5, and I'll adjust the edge softness to be the same. And you'll notice that what's happened if I press Command plus to zoom in on the Mac, Control plus to zoom in on Windows. Let's just zoom in. You'll see now that I have a soft edge, which is good because we're obviously at night. This is obviously a lit up sign on the side of this bus shelter, so we want it to have a little bit of a glow, and I'm going to give it that in just a second. But we also want the edges to be soft because that's how it would look in real life. So next thing that we're going to want to do is to blow this up. And again, no surprise, we can do this from within the interface. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to drop down the scale and offset. Drop down, and I'm going to come down to the scale, and I'm going to punch that up to, let's just say 109. Well, that looks pretty good. I can just zoom back here. It's pretty good, but it's not dead on because you can see I can still see a bit of green haze in there. The cool thing with this effect is I can come in and adjust the corner pin markers separately of the actual track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to, because this is corner pin 1, I'm going to come over to corner 1 offset X, and I'm going to set that to be minus 0.3. You'll see as soon as I do that, it slides everything over universally. Now that is universal to all of the track that it's already done. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to do the same on corner 2 offset X, except I'll just do this in the plus this time. I'll go 0.3, and that's looking pretty good. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but so far I haven't used a single keyframe to do any of this. That just goes to show you how easy this effect is to use. Now, like I said, I want to add this bit of realism with a bit of a glow. Now for this, you're going to tailor this to whatever effects you happen to have on your system. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to remove the effect from the background. So we're just going to delete it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the second layer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to where it says render, and I'm just going to say corner pin only. So you'll now see what I have is just the sign, because we're going to add a bit of a glow to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the sign again, and I'm going to select the bottommost layer of the sign, and I'm going to come to effect. And like I said, this is where you're going to tailor this to whatever effects you happen to have on your system. One type of glow that I always like to use is from Noise Industries with FX Factory, and I'm going to select Bloom. And you'll see it just gives it a little bit of a glow around the edges. Believe it or not, I'm now ready to take a look at this. So to preview it obviously in After Effects, you're going to press 0 on the numeric pad, or you're simply going to come over here and you're going to select RAM Preview. So I'm going to start RAM Previewing it. And I'll be back after the break to show you what the final product looks like. Okay, so our preview's done, so let's take a look at the final result. Look at that. The corner pin track is probably the hardest track you will ever do. And you know what? Boris Continuum Unit's motion tracker effect, especially the corner pin, is a lifesaver. And if you ever have to do any type of tracking work, I cannot recommend this package enough. It's got all the tools right from within After Effects, right from within the effects interface that you could need to do a perfect track every time. So like I said, Boris Continuum Unit's motion tracker is a brand new Digital Juice partner product, and you can check it out on the Digital Juice website under Products, under Partner Products. This has been Kevin P. McCullough from ProEditingAtHome.com. Thanks a lot for watching.